All right, boys, quick story time. So, pretty much, if you guys don't know, I am just a regular guy. I'm a Joe Schmo. I came from nothing. My parents are broke. And when I was younger, so when I was in high school, I used to work a job, right? So, the first job I ever got was when I was 16. I worked at a restaurant. And this was my first ever job. Okay. I've never made money besides this. I've done drop shipping, copywriting, stocks, but I didn't really make money. So this was like the first time that I'm actually making money. Okay. The weird thing about me is like I always just spent money as if I had money, even though I was flat out broke. My parents, or my mom specifically, used to tell me like, who do you think you are? Like, why do you think you're rich? And I always told her like, oh, I was meant to be born in a rich family, as a joke, obviously. So I had no problem with spending money, but obviously I wasn't stupid, right? I wouldn't spend money on like Louis Vuitton bags, but like I would drink Fiji water. What I'm trying to say, like I would drink like expensive stuff and like buy expensive stuff and spend money as if I had an abundance of it, which obviously at the time I didn't. So pretty much. But obviously I wanted to work a job and I wanted to get some experience and just make money, really, because at the time, none of my businesses were working out. So the first job I ever got was when I was 16. Okay. I worked at a restaurant. I was a waiter. I think this was pretty illegal too, because I think they serve like alcohol or something. But like, anyways, that's beside the point. But worked a job. I was a waiter. Okay. I was pretty good. Okay. I feel like, if you have a prefrontal cortex, you can't really mess up a minimum wage job, right? It's easy. So when I was 16, I got this job, and then from there, I would pretty much just like be a waiter and things like that, and it was fine. Okay, everybody else that worked aside me, like all the other waiters, all the other waitresses, were older than me. Okay, they were like 28, 25, 30, 21. Right, I was 16, and guess what? I really had fun, and it was obviously a lot of work, but I got paid a lot because of tip. This is a great tip if you guys want to make money, minimum wage jobs. Just work at a restaurant. You get a bunch of tip. You pretty much get double a paycheck. That's what happens. So for me personally, I didn't mind the job. Obviously, it was a lot of work. I would walk to the restaurant because it was like 15 minutes away from me. Obviously, I didn't have a car, and I would walk back. And this was during the summer. So the problem with the restaurant, though, was there was this one coworker. Okay, she was 30 years old. Okay, she was not a manager. We had a manager that was like 25, and she was nice. Okay, I loved her, but I had another coworker. So she's literally the same exact. I guess she gets paid the same exact rate as me. She's a minimum wage waitress, but she happens to be 30 years old. Okay, I don't know her life story. All I know is that she's worked a bunch of minimum wage jobs. She's done a boba shop, whatever. Okay, pretty much just, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't care. That's none of my business. But pretty much just know that she's 30 years old. I'm 16. We're working the same exact job. Okay, but this is an Asian restaurant, so obviously the older they are, you have to respect them, right? Which I'm totally okay with. But pretty much while I was working, this waitress would, like, she just kept on telling me what to do. Like, she would order me around, boss me around, and I would understand it if you were a manager, but bitch, you are literally the same exact role as me. Okay, you are a waitress. I am a waiter. We get paid minimum wage equally. Okay, it's not like you're a manager. But she kept telling me what to do, which was fine. Okay, because she has more experience than me, right? Because I was a newbie. So for the first 2 weeks, she kept telling me what to do, but I was like, okay, I mean, I guess this is just how it works, right? And then a couple months pass, and she keeps telling me what to do. She keeps telling me, okay, go get that, go clean their table, go do this, go do that, go do this. And from my perspective, I'm like, bro, who do you think you are? And the problem wasn't the fact that she kept telling me what to do. It was the fact that she didn't do the work. So, like, for example, she would be in the kitchen just talking to the manager and just having fun, eating cake, and she would just tell me what to do and make me take care of all the tables. Okay, so because of that, I got pissed off, right? And if you guys don't know, if you guys have watched any of my videos, you guys would know I have a huge ego. Okay, especially when it comes to situations like this. So I was like, okay, well, I can't do this anymore. And then I think one time, like, I was just pissed off because I was so tired. She kept telling me what to do. I did all the work, and she was in the kitchen eating food. with the manager, okay, just chatting, okay, for like 15 minutes while I'm going back and forth, delivering the food to the tables. And, she told me, like, yo, you can't be that slow. You got to do faster. And I almost crashed out on her, but I didn't because she's older and I was nice and I'm 16, okay? If that happened to me right now, oh my God, the amount of shit that I would tell her, holy shit. Anyways, that was my last straw. So pretty much as soon as that happened, okay, so pretty much what happened was like she was having fun in the kitchen, and then I went and I was working for like 30 minutes straight, and she was just like literally yapping and having fun and eating cake in the kitchen for 30 minutes. And then as soon as I come back from working, she starts complaining to me and telling me how I'm not working fast enough. Okay, so that was my last straw. So I was like, fuck this. Hell no, I'm quitting this shit. So what I do is I go to my manager and I tell her, I'm quitting. I'm done. I think I'm gonna quit. Okay. And she's like, oh, okay. And pretty much the manager had nothing to do with this. It was just his coworker that was like 30 years old. And then I told the other manager who manages like everything, I was like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. And I told her, okay, well, all the other coworkers, like, yes, they're older than me, but they don't do the work. Okay. They're just bossing me around as if I work under them, which obviously is not the case. And he was like, okay, I get it. So guess what? I just quit. Okay. And the fun fact here is I almost got fired before this. So there was another coworker before me, or that worked with me, that was like 15 and I was 16. And pretty much one of the manager told, the owner told the manager to, like, what do you call it? Fire. Yeah. The owner told the manager to fire one of us. Okay. Because we were so young, right? Because we can't serve alcohol. So pretty much they were going to fire me or the girl. But pretty much I just talked her into it. I was like, okay, don't fire me. Like, I don't want to get fired. And, they eventually didn't fire me, but they were going to. But it didn't matter because I quit anyways. So fast forward, after I quit, I lock in on Etsy, which is the jewelry business that I had. And guess what? It also failed. And I failed for 2 years straight for all of my businesses. And then after that, when I turned 18, I finally started my clothing brand, and eventually it did well. Okay, I hit 6 figures at 19. So 3 years later, I come back to that same exact restaurant, and guess what I do? I eat at the restaurant. I order a bunch of food, okay? Because the restaurant's pretty good, right? I order a bunch of food, and guess who's there? Guess who's still working there, okay? The person that's twice my age. So at that time, she'd be like 34 or something like that. Guess who's still working there? It's the same girl that pissed me off. And I don't think she recognized me. But she was my waitress. She keeps working there. And guess what I did? Okay. After I was done eating, I gave her $100 tip. And I told her, I don't think you remember me, but I used to work here with you. And she's like, oh my God, yes, I do remember. And she started acting all nice, all happy because I gave her a nice tip. And I told her, I have a business now. Like, I'm making 6 figures, blah, 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 while I'm in college. Obviously, I didn't like brag about it. I just mentioned what I'm doing right now because she was curious. And the look at her, like the look that she had on her face was like, oh my God. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, it was like the best feeling that I've ever had in my whole entire life, because her face was like disgusted. Because you have to understand, from her perspective, somebody that's twice as younger than you, okay, so she's like 34, I'm like 19, okay, is making more money than you in a shorter span time period, because I started my business a year ago, right? And I hit 6 figures in a year. So, and she's still working at the same exact job that I quit. Okay. And I'm pretty sure she's not even a manager. I'm pretty sure she's the same exact role that she was 2-3 years ago. So that was a pretty full circle moment. And on top of that, so that was one example of like me, I guess, working a job. And I've worked another job as well. So this is the second job I've worked. When it comes to just working a job in general, I've only worked 2 jobs in my whole entire life, like actually under somebody. The first one was a restaurant. The second time was another restaurant, but this time I was like a cashier. Okay. So this is when I was a senior in high school. And pretty much I worked at some restaurant as a cashier. And this job I got fired from. Okay. This is the first ever job I got fired from. And don't get me wrong, I didn't do the work. Okay. Obviously I did, treat the customers well. I did everything necessary, but I did the bare minimum. Okay. I never understood people that work a minimum wage job and they do extra. I don't understand that. You're not getting paid more. You're not getting a bonus. You're getting paid $20 an hour. Why are you doing too much? Okay. Why are you doing too much? Why? So if you want to do that, go ahead. I personally just didn't want to do that, because what I would do is I would work my job and come home and work on my business. Okay, so that is what I would do. So obviously I don't want to waste my energy on stupid stuff when obviously I'm not getting paid bonuses. So what I would do is I would, be a cashier at this job, and in the free time, maybe I would watch something on the TV or just like screw around, just do random stuff. I actually didn't do the work except for just the bare minimum. Okay. And eventually a couple months pass and I got fired from that job. Okay. I got fired. And the funny thing is I knew I was going to get fired because the owner or the manager came in. He never comes into the actual store. He came in and he just kept telling me what to do. He's like, bro, fix this, fix that, fix this, fix that. And I'm like, okay. Obviously at this point, he is a manager and he is the owner. So him telling me what to do, it's totally understandable. But I don't know why. I just hated that. I just hated the fact that somebody kept telling me what to do. Okay. Like I said, this is an ego thing. So he kept telling me what to do. And I had this weird feeling. Okay. I feel like he's going to fire me. And then after that, time passes and I go home and he texts me. He's like, okay, today was your last day or some shit like that. And then I kind of crash out on him, which I don't think I should have done because it's reasonable, right? I wasn't doing the work, but I was like, oh, can I ask why? And he was like, do you need to know the reason why? I think you know it yourself. And I told him, well, there's nothing, I guess I understand, but I guess I would just have liked it if you just told me in person, like a man, or so, I said something like that. And then he's like, okay, cool. But pretty much that was it. I got fired. And then as soon as I got fired, because I had friends that worked with me, dude. As soon as I got fired, I went to school the next day because I was still in high school. All my friends clowned the fuck out of me, bro. They clown me like crazy. Oh my god, how do you get fired? How do you get fired? How do you get fired? P.S. All these friends that clown me, they're still working on minimum wage job, but they clown me, right? Which is it's understandable. I get it. They clown me, haha, cool. Okay, so I get clowned. Obviously at that time, none of my friends know it, that I'm gonna make way more money than them and become way more successful than them. Obviously I'm not saying this bash on them, but bro, y'all made fun of me. What the hell? What the hell? Anyways, so pretty much I get fired and then, time passes, right? So this is when I was a senior in high school. So I get fired and this was during high school. And then I finally graduate high school, right? And then during the summer between high school and college, that is when I started my clothing brand, right? And if you guys don't know, like I said earlier, the clothing brand that I started after I graduated from high school did pretty well. So after that, I hit 6 figures, whatever. I go back and forth to LA here and there. And it's this is the thing. I don't think you guys understand. I used to go back to LA very often. So I used to go back to my hometown very often because I used to pack orders. So I would go back, to my hometown every 2 weeks. And every single time I would go back to my hometown, I would always go to the plaza that I used to work at. So the restaurant that I used to work at, right? And I would always walk by that restaurant that I used to work at that I got fired from. And every single time I walk by, I keep seeing less and less customers. Okay, I don't see that many customers anymore. It's pretty much empty. There's not that many workers. All the workers keep changing. And eventually, which this happened pretty recently, actually, a couple months ago, I go to the actual restaurant and I walk past it and guess what? It's out of business. They're done for. There was nothing there. Okay, everything was gone. And I'm just bro, I didn't even have a chance to go in there and tell the owner how much I thank him for firing me, because if he didn't fire me, I probably would have still worked the job, which means I wouldn't have worked as hard on my business because I have a plan B. So I could even tell him thank you, bro. And I actually wanted to tell him thank you, but I couldn't because they shut down. The business shut down. So another full circle moment there. I guess the point of this video is I don't think a lot of you guys understand the main, I personally don't come from a lot of money. Okay. I go through the same exact shit that you guys go through. I'm sure a lot of you guys work a job. I'm sure a lot of you guys are in situations where you're getting bitched around, bossed around by some random people that you don't even know, right? And on top of that, they're not even like better than you. They're just literally just older, or they might have worked that job a little bit longer than you. Maybe they're a manager, and you're not even doing anything crazy too. You're flipping burgers, or like, you know, taking orders as a cashier, right? And I feel like a lot of you guys don't want that job, and I really hope like this video gives you guys motivation, because I actually did something about it. Okay, I think the main difference between people like me and people like you is like, you guys just take it. You guys just take the just the bitchness. Like, you're just a bitch, you know what I'm trying to say? And like, I didn't want to take that, so I just quit, and or I got fired, and I did something about it, and I started making money online, and obviously, you know, now I'm here, right? So I'm not saying that I'm a better person than all these other guys that are working a job, or, you know, all the other people that worked the job, or like any minimum wage workers. But I guess the point I'm trying to make is, I didn't like the situation that I was in, and I did something about it. And I feel like most of you guys are just lazy, so you're not doing anything about it, or you just don't have it in you to actually do something about it. So that's pretty much it, boys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys later.